7 years after my divorce from Shen Linchuan, we ran into each other by chance at a flower shop. He was there to buy flowers for his pregnant wife, and I was sheltering from the rain. After a brief awkwardness, we greeted each other. Shen Linchuan politely asked how I had been all these years. I also politely replied that everything was fine. As we parted, he suddenly said, "Jian Ning, you seem a little different from before." I smiled and didn't answer. Actually, nothing was different. It's just that I no longer loved him. The damp wind blew in through the cracks in the door. The only sound left in the room was the rain hitting the window sills. The awkward silence was broken when the shop owner brought out a bouquet of irises. "Mr. Shin, you and your wife have such a wonderful relationship. You didn't forget to buy her flowers even on a rainy day." Shen Linchuan took the flowers and subconsciously glanced at me. He habitually explained, "Nono is emotionally unstable during her pregnancy. Seeing these flowers will cheer her up." I nodded and offered a few polite compliments. Seeing that the rain was gradually stopping, I picked up my bag and prepared to leave. As I reached the door, Shen Linchuan suddenly grabbed my hand. "Where do you live? Let me give you a ride." "No, thank you." I took a few steps back, maintaining a distance from Shen Linchuan. My tone was calm as I said, "I'm afraid your wife would misunderstand." As I turned to leave, Shen Linchuan seemed to say something. The wind was too strong and I didn't hear him clearly. It's just that the breakfast in my hand was soaked in the rain. What a pity. I casually threw the ruined breakfast into the trash can. The wind blew up my sleeve, revealing the scars I inflicted on myself back then. I was stunned for a moment, and then suddenly remembered. This was the 7th year of my divorce from Shen Linchuan. It was also the 3rd year I completely let him go. There was no sadness I had imagined, no hysteria I experienced right after the divorce. I was calm, as if I were looking at a stranger. The rain had stopped, and the sky had cleared. I pulled down my sleeve and walked towards the steamed bun shop. Xiao Xing, who was helping out in the shop, gave me a big smile. "Sister, you're here?" I found a box while cleaning up the miscellaneous items. "See if you still want it. If not, I'll throw it away so there's room for the noodle press." I brushed off the dust from the box. What caught my eye were Shen Linchuan's flamboyant characters. "To Jianning." Xiao Xing was immediately interested. She mischievously said, "Oh, what man gave you this gift? The packaging is so exquisite. It looks like a lot of effort went into it." She eagerly looked at the signature at the end. After seeing the elegant handwriting, she was stunned on the spot. Even her voice was a little stuttering. "Shen Linchuan. Is that the legendary genius physics PhD? The astrophysicist who's super handsome and got published in an international journal for discovering an asteroid?" Xiao Xing's gaze was instantly filled with admiration. "Sister Jianning, what kind of goddess are you?" I opened the gift box and said in a calm tone, "I'm Shen Linchuan's ex-wife." The suspicious, crazy ex-wife who was admitted to a mental hospital for delusional disorder. The ex-wife he considered a lifelong shame. Under Xiao Xing's constant questioning, I sat down and told her the story of me and Shen Linchuan. When I met Shen Linchuan, he wasn't some legendary genius teenager yet. He was just a problematic child with a withdrawn personality and strange behavior in the eyes of the neighborhood. No friends, no family. His parents, who were going through a divorce, kicked him around like a ball. In Harbin's biting winter, Shen Linchuan would squat in the stairwell in a thin autumn coat, shivering. I took pity on him and brought him home. While playing games, my father accidentally discovered his amazing mathematical talent. From then on, Shen Linchuan was transformed. He won the Mathematical Olympiad at the age of 10 and was recommended to Tsinghua University at the age of 14. At the age of 16, his published journals were renowned worldwide, and he won countless awards. The couple who didn't want him back then were now fighting over his custody. But he knelt in front of my father and kowtowed 3 times heavily. "I know who treats me well and who really loves me. From now on, you and Auntie Jian are my real parents. I will definitely treat you well and take good care of Jianning." From then on, Shen Linchuan soared all the way up, but never thought of leaving me behind. When he was recommended for admission, he asked the school to make an exception and lower the admission score for me. When he stayed on to teach, he asked for a family position to be arranged for me. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to keep up with Shen Linchuan's pace. But Shen Linchuan looked at me and said, "When I was 8 years old, my parents divorced and neither of them wanted me. I sat alone in the stairwell from dark to dawn, and you were the one who took me home. From that moment on, I swore that I would never leave you. Jianning, I wouldn't be who I am today without you. No matter how high I fly, I will never leave you behind." That's the kind of person he was, particularly stubborn when doing things. Once he decided on something, he would hold on tight and never let go. That was the case when he was working on scientific research projects. That was the case when he was pursuing me. And that was the case even when he changed his mind and cheated. Cheated? Hearing this, Xiaoxing widened her eyes in disbelief. You two grew up together as childhood sweethearts. With such a deep relationship, he would still cheat? Who's the other woman? A rich second generation or a great beauty? Is she the kind of scheming, seductive, and vicious snake woman in TV dramas? None of that. Shen Linchuan's affair was with a dark, skinny, and unremarkable flower seller. In the year he turned 27, Shen Linchuan had already achieved extraordinary success in his work. He no longer pursued worldly fame and fortune. Instead, he began to devote more of his energy to personal hobbies. He didn't like funds and stocks, and he didn't like fishing and drinking tea. Instead, he suddenly developed an interest in flowers. Imported, cheap, common, rare. Shen Linchuan took them all, moving them all to his little garden. Among them, his favorite was the iris that I gave him on his birthday. It was this flower that made me interested in all the flowers in the world. Such an unremarkable seed can bloom into such a beautiful flower with human intervention. This process is really interesting. He said he liked flowers. Even more so, he liked the process of flowers blooming. In this small world, he was the god in charge of everything. Flowers bloom and fall, wither and bloom, all by his say. I didn't understand what Shen Linchuan was saying. A flower is a flower, it will bloom when it wants to bloom, and it will fall when it wants to fall. Why worry about so much? Zhao Nuonuo, who was helping to move the flowers, suddenly looked up. Professor Shen is right, I also like this feeling. Whether the flowers grow well or not depends entirely on whether the florist cultivates them with care. Look how well this iris is growing, it's all because I took good care of it. In an autumn, when the irises were in full bloom, the two of them became connected. Because of flowers. And also because of me. After that, Shen Linchuan frequently ordered flowers from Zhao Nuonuo. Roses, magnolias, lilacs. The villa we lived in almost became a hanging garden. Their relationship also grew closer. Until one day, Shen Linchuan suddenly offered to sponsor Zhao Nuonuo's education. She's only in her teens, intelligent and hardworking. It's such a waste to let her go like this. Zhao Nuonuo nervously fiddled with the thick calluses on her hands. Her dark little face squeezed out a worried and ingratiating smile. Sister, I will study hard. My grades were good, but my mom had a car accident. That's why I had to drop out of school to support the family. As long as you give me a chance, I won't let you down. Her tender face was etched with cracks and weariness that didn't match her age. Looking into those sincere eyes, I suddenly remembered. When Shen Linchuan was 8 years old, sitting in the stairwell. Helpless, lost. My heart softened again. For a long time, I treated Zhao Nuonuo like my own younger sister. Buying her clothes, taking her for skincare, teaching her how to behave in the world. She called me sister every chance she got, saying that I was the best person in the world to her. She said she would definitely repay my kindness. And she didn't disappoint. She successfully got into the school, where Shen Linchuan and I worked. And on the night she received her acceptance letter, she climbed into Shen Linchuan's bed. That day, I specifically left work early, wanting to cook a feast to celebrate for Zhao Nuonuo. When I got home, I saw. The two of them were embracing, their clothes disheveled. Their bodies were in intimate contact. At that moment, I completely lost it. I smashed the cake on the two of them. I smashed all the flowers and plants in the house to pieces. Shen Linchuan shielded Zhao Nuonuo behind him, watching my actions coldly. Jianning, when you're done making a scene, close the door. You have no shame, but Nuonuo still does. Between me and Zhao Nuonuo, he unhesitatingly chose the third party. I couldn't bear it all and forced Shen Linchuan to give me an explanation. He frowned and looked at me. Jianning, you are still my wife. As long as you don't cause trouble, Nuonuo will never affect your position. Zhao Nuonuo also suddenly knelt down in front of me. Sister, I know I'm sorry to you, but Linchuan and I are truly in love. We are soulmates. We are the people in the world who understand each other best. Don't worry, I won't forget your kindness. I don't want any title, and I won't compete with you for anything, as long as I can stay by Linchuan's side. That year I was only in my 20s. I was in the prime of my youth, and I couldn't bear the slightest grievance. I sent a letter of complaint to the school. I wanted to expose the immoral and sordid relationship between the two. But reality quickly taught me a lesson. The school couldn't possibly fire Shen Linchuan, this vital pillar. Instead, to appease him, they gave me a demerit. Shen Linchuan also publicly issued a statement, asking fellow professors to take extra care of Zhao Nuonuo. This is my student. She is smart, eager to learn, and hardworking. I hope everyone will give her a break for my sake. She has suffered a lot to get from a flower seller to where she is now. Nuonuo may not be good enough, not smart enough, but in my eyes, she is the best, my greatest pride. Shen Linchuan even admitted that Zhao Nuonuo was able to enter this institution of higher learning thanks to his behind-the-scenes maneuvering. He knew that doing so was against the rules, but he didn't care. He only hoped that Zhao Nuonuo could have a bright future. Then what about me? What am I? A joke? I hid at home and cried night after night, over and over. All I could see were the twisted and mocking faces of the people around me. Shen Linchuan continued to fiddle with his irises. Jianning, don't you understand? Your job, your reputation, your status. Everything you have comes from me. Without me, you are nothing. I said, Nuonuo will not affect your position. Be sensible. Can't we live a peaceful life?
No.
I couldn't stand it that my husband, whom I spent day and night with, had another woman in his heart at all times. I started to argue, started to become hysterical, almost madly retaliating against this pair of adulterers. When Shen Linchuan gave a lecture, I replaced his slides with large-scale photos of him and Zhao Nuonuo. When the two of them were being interviewed, I rushed forward to expose their sordid relationship. I wrote countless letters of complaint. I took countless short videos. But what I got in return was a diagnosis of mental illness. Shen Linchuan was too clever. He guided me into madness, and then used my mad videos as evidence. His intelligence, status, and his understanding of me allowed him to crush me easily. In the end, I was fired, dismissed, and my degree was revoked. And Shen Linchuan personally sent me to a mental hospital. I spoke calmly, but Xiaoxing's eyes were already red. She asked me, crying, what happened after that? Later, in the mental hospital, I found out I was almost 5 months pregnant. Shen Linchuan took me home. The arrival of this child made Shen Linchuan concede. He took me back, holding my hand, saying, Jianning, I did do something wrong, but you shouldn't have been so reckless. Your uncle and aunt have turned white-haired overnight because of you, and now people point and gossip about them when they go out. You're not young anymore. Can't you be a little less willful? He placed my hand on my lower abdomen. Think about this child. Think about your parents. Tears streamed across my palm. This time, I chose to compromise. After this incident, my heart was severely damaged, my spirit completely depleted. Every day, I was like a walking corpse, blankly staring in that house full of flowers. Shen Linchuan would come back on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays to accompany me, giving the baby in my belly early education lessons. On Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, he would enjoy the sweetness of being in love with Zhao Nuonuo. Ignoring his stomach problems, he accompanied Zhao Nuonuo to try all kinds of new and interesting internet-famous foods. Bubble tea, coffee, hot pot ice cream. As long as Zhao Nuonuo liked it, Shen Linchuan would indulge her in everything. This man, who once thought wasting 10 minutes of his life was shameful, was now willing to watch boring romantic movies with Zhao Nuonuo. This man, who valued his career above everything, was now willing to do all kinds of childish things with Zhao Nuonuo. To pave the way for Zhao Nuonuo's success, he allowed her to be credited on a thesis outside of her major. To make Zhao Nuonuo happy, he mocked his colleagues and skipped lectures. He trampled my dignity under his feet. He also trampled the industry's rules and bottom lines under his feet. What finally made me explode was the carefully prepared marriage proposal that Shen Linchuan had arranged for Zhao Nuonuo. That year, Shen Linchuan gained fame for discovering a small planet. He not only appeared in international magazines but also became famous throughout the country because of his outstanding appearance. At the highlight of his life, Shen Linchuan chose to share this glory with Zhao Nuonuo. He named the small planet Shanchuan's Promise. Beneath the mountains and rivers, Shen Linchuan and Zhao Nuonuo vowed to never separate. On the night of the award ceremony, in that romantic planetarium, under that small planet named Shanchuan's Promise, he held a small wedding for Zhao Nuonuo. When I saw Zhao Nuonuo, wearing a wedding dress, walking towards Shen Linchuan, when I saw the two of them vowing to stay together forever under the starry sky, I broke down again. Shen Linchuan and I never had a wedding. Facing my repeated pleas, Shen Linchuan only said, Jianning, you know me, I don't like these superficial things. Instead of wasting time and energy, it's better to focus on real things. I still have a lot of experiments to do. Because I loved him, I chose to compromise. And because I loved him, I lost everything. My long repressed emotions completely collapsed. In front of all the guests, I rushed forward, tore off Zhao Nuonuo's wedding dress, and slapped her twice. Shen Linchuan splashed a cup of water on my face and said coldly, Jianning, you've crossed the line. He proposed a divorce to me and wanted to leave with Zhao Nuonuo. I was unwilling, not resigned, nor willing to part. I cried and said to Shen Linchuan, if you dare to leave today, I'll take this child and jump from here. Shen Linchuan didn't leave. He pushed me. Perhaps he just wanted to scare me. But I did lose the child I had been looking forward to. I was admitted to a mental hospital again. This time, it was for severe depression. Saying this, I smiled. In a light, nonchalant tone, I said, in my second year in the mental hospital, Shen Linchuan filed for divorce. I fought to the end, but got nothing but this box of miscellaneous items. In the year immediately after the divorce, I couldn't accept everything and self-harmed and went crazy countless times. Because my condition was so bad, I couldn't find a suitable job. My parents worried so much that their hair turned white and their bodies deteriorated day by day. Afraid of them worrying, I went to help in the store, and my mood actually stabilized. Now, I've inherited this bun shop, and life is pretty good.
My tone was very calm.
Xiaoxing cried so hard that her face was covered in tears. Sister Jianning, how can you be so miserable? Shen Linchuan is a real scumbag. If I ever see him, I'll definitely beat him up to vent your anger. As soon as she finished speaking, the heavy curtain of the bun shop was lifted. Shen Linchuan stood before us. The mist was blurry, and I couldn't see his face clearly. But suddenly, I remembered what he said at the time of parting. What he said seemed to be, Jianning, I couldn't quite be sure about the following words. And I didn't really care. I randomly wiped Xiaoxing's tears with a tissue and told her to hurry up and get ready to serve the customers. But Xiaoxing suddenly became angry. She glanced at the person who came in, raised her eyebrows, and slammed the steamer shut. Not selling. I'd rather throw all these buns to the beggars on the street than sell them to this bastard. I looked at her helplessly, washed my hands, and began to knead dough. It's up to you. It doesn't matter if you offend an individual customer. But if you really throw away my buns, it'll be deducted from your salary. Xiaoxing's tears fell again. She glared at Shen Linchuan fiercely and said angrily, deduct it then. I'm not selling anyway. A gust of wind blew in from outside, blowing away the swirling mist, revealing Shen Linchuan's deep eyes. So many years had passed. Shen Linchuan's appearance hadn't changed at all, but his temperament was much more stable. He took out 200 yuan bills from his wallet and put them on the table. Then he skillfully opened the steamer, took out a warm meat bun, and regardless of the heat, sat down and ate it in large bites. The way he ate didn't resemble a highly educated professor at all. He looked more like a child who couldn't find his way home. After finishing one bun, Shen Linchuan suddenly smiled. It's still the same taste, hasn't changed at all. Jianning, you don't know how long I've been craving this. Looking at the smile in Shen Linchuan's eyes, I finally understood where that familiar feeling from just now came from. When I was little, I often came to the shop with Shen Linchuan to help. Later, my father discovered Shen Linchuan's mathematical talent. He always treated Shen Linchuan like his own son, unwilling to let a genius be lost. My father sent him home, saving every penny to hire a tutor for Shen Linchuan. Without my father, Shen Linchuan wouldn't have the achievements he has today. And without those achievements, Shen Linchuan wouldn't have cheated on me with Zhao Nuonuo. And if Shen Linchuan hadn't cheated on me, I wouldn't have slit my wrists. Therefore, my father always lived in guilt. He felt that he had made Shen Linchuan what he was, and he had also destroyed his daughter's happiness. Until last year, my father was seriously ill. Even as he was dying, he was still mumbling. It was my fault.
I didn't see the true face of that kid.
I ruined my daughter's life. Jianning, don't resent your father. Your old man is useless. I've worked hard for half my life, and I don't have much to leave you. Besides that small two-bedroom apartment, there's only this bun shop. You have a good temper, you can endure hardship, and keeping the shop will give you something to do, so you won't starve to death anyway. He was heartbroken that I had married the wrong person, and he felt sorry for the suffering I had endured for Shen Linchuan. He resented Shen Linchuan and blamed himself. But until the end of his life, he couldn't truly bring himself to hate Shen Linchuan. When his consciousness was confused, the last thing he said was, Ningning, Linchuan should be home from school soon. Remember to leave him a bun, beef filling. He's liked it since he was little. My father had already forgotten. Now Shen Linchuan is a globally renowned physics professor. He is another woman's husband. There is a class divide between us, as well as an insurmountable debt of love. He won't come back. Or rather, the one who comes back is no longer the Shen Linchuan of the past. I returned the 2 bills, whispering, no need to pay. Take it and eat it. My father told me before he died that when you came back, I should give you something to eat. I don't want to go against his wishes, nor do I want to have any more contact with you. Consider this bun as my fulfilling my filial duty, and don't come here again in the future. Shen Linchuan was silent for a long time. He didn't say anything but suddenly rolled up his sleeves and started working. Just like when he was a kid, wiping the table, sweeping the floor. Completely, without any professor's airs. Xiaoxing, with a dark face, snatched the broom from his hand. She said with a displeased expression, what are you pretending for? Didn't you hear what Sister Jianning said? She doesn't want to see you. If you have any shame, get out of our sight as soon as possible, so you don't stir up her sad memories again. I was grateful for Xiaoxing's protection of me, but I really wasn't sad anymore. When I first broke up with Shen Linchuan, I felt like the sky had fallen and that I couldn't go on living. Every night I would dream about the past with Shen Linchuan. We played house together when we were kids. He would explain problems to me after school. We kissed secretly on summer afternoons. We held hands tightly in the first snow, promising each other a lifetime of eternal separation. But when the summer sun faded and when the winter snow melted, my world instantly became incomparably dim. The autumn wind was bleak, filled with all kinds of vicious voices. Everyone was mocking me for being a toad trying to eat swan meat, saying that I was not worthy of Shen Linchuan, saying that my parents were exploiting a debt of gratitude, ruining Shen Linchuan's life. If it weren't for your delay, Professor Shen would have achieved even greater success. This woman is simply not worthy of Professor Shen. Why is she shamelessly following Professor Shen around? Jian doesn't even understand quantum mechanics. How is she qualified to work at our university? Being with such a woman is a disgrace to Professor Shen. The mockery of the world, Zhao Nuonuo's provocation, Shen Linchuan's indifference. Everything was like a knife, slowly torturing my heart, devouring my world. I kept hurting myself, cutting my wrists, wanting to feel the meaning of being alive through pain. My mother stayed by the door all day, afraid to come in and disturb me, but afraid that I would leave in my sleep. My father smoked and sighed every day, making my favorite dishes in different ways. But their worries and sadness, imperceptibly, exacerbated my guilt, making me feel that for such a man to involve my family was really not worth it. I wanted to cheer up, wanted to live well, but I just couldn't let go of Shen Linchuan. More than 20 years of being together bound us tightly together. Every flower, every tree, every seemingly insignificant item around me could evoke my memories. Leaving him, forgetting him, was like peeling my skin and pulling out my tendons. At that time, I really felt that my life was just like that. Either I would live in pain forever, or I would choose to die in despair.
But the truth is, I survived.
And I lived very well, very happily. I have a job that I like, and that can support me. Every day is fulfilling, busy, ordinary, and happy. The 20 years with Shen Linchuan were indeed the most unforgettable time of my life. But besides those years, I still have a long life to live. So I started to live hard, carefully running this steamed bun shop. Recently, business has been declining. I even went to other places to buy a few breakfasts, wanting to research and innovate. Unexpectedly, it suddenly started raining on the way. Unexpectedly, I would meet Shen Linchuan because I was hiding from the rain. Even more unexpectedly, Shen Linchuan would follow me all the way here. Perhaps our fate is not over, but our relationship is exhausted. I, who died for him once. Now I will never shed tears for him a second time. I looked at Shen Linchuan indifferently, silently urging him to leave. And under my cold gaze, he lowered his head slightly and said a sentence. This time, I heard it clearly. What he said was, "I'm sorry, Jian. I regret it." Regret what? Regret being with me, or regret breaking up with me? In recent years, I have also seen some reports about Shen Linchuan. His career has been stagnant. Some say that he is a spent force. Some say that his future was dragged down by me. Perhaps Shen Linchuan thinks so too. If it wasn't for my trouble back then with his ability, he would have achieved greater success. But Shen Linchuan's affairs don't need me to worry about. A broken ship still has 3,000 nails. No matter what, Shen Linchuan is still much richer than me. I gave Xiaoxing a look. She was very clever and immediately understood what I meant. She picked up the broom and chased Shen Linchuan out. Can't you hear? You're not welcome here. If you don't leave, I'm going to call the police. Get out of here. Don't affect our business. The dust-covered broom fell on Shen Linchuan's expensive suit, leaving an indelible mark. Shen Linchuan was silent for a moment, then smiled helplessly. I understand what you mean. Before leaving, Shen Linchuan left me a bank card. I glanced at it. There was probably 5 million inside. Xiaoxing told me to keep the money, saying that Shen Linchuan owed it to me. Not to mention 5 million, even 500 million. It can't repay the affection he owes you. As she said that, she seemed to remember something. She stared at me with a questioning look. When you divorced, you didn't leave with nothing, did you? Shen Linchuan is so rich. If he just leaked a little bit from between his fingers, you wouldn't be stuck running a small steamed bun shop at your age. I did leave with nothing. It wasn't that I was self-righteous and didn't want Shen Linchuan's money. It's that I couldn't win. My trouble at the planetarium made Shen Linchuan lose face completely. He was determined to give me a good lesson. Shen Linchuan hired a lawyer and made me leave with nothing. He even said directly in court that everything I owned came from him. Jian, what I can give you, I can take back at any time. People always have to pay the price for what they have done. You broke our agreement, and you must be punished. Actually, being able to leave with nothing was already considered good. At that time, Shen Linchuan was single-mindedly trying to vent his anger for his little lover. He even thought about setting a trap so that I would be burdened with huge debts after the divorce. When a high IQ, high-status person wants to deal with an ordinary person, he doesn't even need to rack his brains. Moving a finger is enough to crush me to death. In the end, however, Shen Linchuan didn't go all out. Perhaps it was because I chose to bow my head, or perhaps he didn't want to waste time getting entangled with me. Shen Linchuan left me a few 100,000 yuan as alimony, as compensation for the loss of my child. But at that time, my condition was really bad. The medication for treating depression was expensive. Psychological counseling was also expensive. That sum of money was just a drop in the bucket for me, and it was quickly spent. To help me get better as soon as possible, my parents practically emptied their savings. They took me to various doctors and gave me medicine. They even consulted fortune tellers. For a while, I always thought my father's death was more or less related to me. If it weren't for me, he wouldn't have been working so hard to earn money at his age. If it weren't for me, he wouldn't have been so self-blaming and sad. Shen Linchuan hurt me, and I hurt them. These emotional debts were like a tangled ball of yarn, impossible to unravel. But recently, I've also come to realize something. Matters of the heart are inherently complex. Everything is destined, and no one can escape it. Little Xing listened, feeling sad, and couldn't help but hug me. She rested her fluffy head in my arms and murmured, "You were so badly cheated by Zhao Nuonuo. Why are you still willing to take me in? Aren't you afraid that I will do something to hurt you too?" "Not afraid. My psychologist told me that there is nothing wrong with doing good deeds. The people who did wrong are not me, but them. I shouldn't punish myself for their mistakes, nor should I hate everyone because of it." I found little Xing in front of the shop in the spring. She came to Ha City to work, was cheated out of her travel expenses, and had nowhere to go. She wanted to beg for food, but couldn't bring herself to do it. I was soft-hearted, so I kept her and had her help out. It's like how I feel sorry for stray cats and dogs I see on the street. Even if I had to do it 100 times, I still wouldn't have the heart to watch the 8-year-old Shen Linchuan freeze to death in the stairwell. I wouldn't have the heart to watch the teenage Zhao Nuonuo be buried for life. Little Xing nodded and suddenly leaned in to kiss me. "Sister Jianning, you're so good. Shen Linchuan will regret missing out on someone as good as you." I don't know if he will regret it. I only know that my accidental encounter with Shen Linchuan was like a pebble dropped into a lake, disappearing without even a ripple. I didn't take this little interlude to heart. But Zhao Nuonuo came looking for me unexpectedly. 7 years had passed, and the former flower girl had been transformed. She wore exquisite makeup and luxurious clothes. Her slightly protruding abdomen made her even more dignified and elegant. It's said that loving someone is like nurturing a flower. Shen Linchuan had nurtured her flower very well. It was just that, for some reason, there was always a hint of weariness in Zhao Nuonuo's eyes that couldn't be concealed. She dumped a box of money in front of me, her tone haughty and cold. "Jianning, you can't be so shameless. You and Shen Linchuan have been divorced for so long. Stop pestering him. I know you don't want to lose the position of Mrs. Shen, but if you're not as skilled, you have to admit defeat. Because you helped me in the past, I'll help you this once. This money is enough for you to live comfortably for the rest of your life. I hope you take the money and get lost, and disappear from Shen Linchuan's sight forever." Zhao Nuonuo slammed a prepared contract in front of me. Her raised voice betrayed her anxiety and arrogance. I was silent for a moment, then slapped her across the face. "This slap is for what you owe me." Then, another. "This slap is for what you owe my unborn child. This slap is for what you owe those classmates whose opportunities you stole." After 7 or 8 slaps, I rubbed my wrist. "From now on, our grudges are settled. Please don't appear in front of me, and don't let your husband come and harass me." Years of kneading dough had given me strength. It directly stunned Zhao Nuonuo. She was dazed for a long time, then jumped up like a madwoman. "You said Shen Linchuan is harassing you? Jianning, have you even looked at yourself these days? Who is Shen Linchuan? He is a respected professor. Countless women want to please him every day. Even if you stripped naked and stood in front of Shen Linchuan with your current appearance, he wouldn't even give you a second glance. He only has me in his heart. Only me. If that were really the case, why would Zhao Nuonuo have rushed over so urgently? It seemed that her days hadn't been so comfortable these past few years. How could a man who had tasted infidelity settle down and return to his family? He could abandon me for Zhao Nuonuo. Naturally, he could also abandon Zhao Nuonuo for other women. Just like Shen Linchuan's attitude towards those flowers and plants back then, regardless of their status or value, he welcomed them all. He didn't like the flowers, but the process of controlling and transforming them. It was his almost perverted desire for control that I used to wonder why I lived such a painful life. Until one day, when I watched little Xing smiling as she kneaded the dough, I suddenly realized something. I didn't like the life that Shen Linchuan arranged for me. I didn't like him interfering so much in my life. My grades were average, and I couldn't handle the hectic academic pressure of a university. My background was ordinary, and I couldn't get used to the scheming and socializing in those high society circles. The attention and demands placed on Mrs. Shen only made me feel anxious and tired. In the worldly sense, I was indeed not worthy of Shen Linchuan. But the person I initially fell in love with wasn't Professor Shen at all. It was Shen Linchuan, who was full of me and willing to give everything for me. In order to keep up with him, I exhausted myself, overdrawing my life and becoming hysterical. It was only when I left that oppressive environment, left Shen Linchuan's control, that I gradually found myself again, that I am doing very well now, very happily. Worldly fame and fortune, as well as Shen Linchuan, are all dispensable shackles to me. My heartfelt words sounded like a provocation to Zhao Nuonuo. Ignoring her 8 months of pregnancy, she picked up a vase beside her and hit me with it. In the end, Shen Linchuan blocked the blow for me. Bright red blood flowed down his forehead and onto his white shirt, like plum blossoms in the snow. Zhao Nuonuo's face turned ugly. She sheepishly withdrew her hand and looked at Shen Linchuan cautiously. Linchuan, are you okay?
I didn't mean to.
Shen Linchuan's cold tone contained a hint of irresistible anger. I told you not to bother Jianning, and especially not to interfere in my affairs. Are you simply not paying attention to what I say, or do you think you're living too well and want to go back to the past? The same words again. The same threat. So many years had passed, and Shen Linchuan really hadn't changed at all. Zhao Nuonuo thought that winning against me would secure her position, but little did she know that she was sacrificing her entire life. What Shen Linchuan offered back then was an olive branch, but also a prison forged with prosperity. Puncturing the bubble of class transcendence, Shen Linchuan could reduce her to her original form with a single sentence. I didn't bother to argue with them, and directly dialed the police. History seemed to repeat itself once again. Only this time, my position and Zhao Nuonuo's were reversed. She had become the paranoid, emotionally unstable madwoman. Pregnant for 6 or 7 months, she still had to rack her brains to secure her position. She didn't even have the courage to confront Shen Linchuan. For a long time afterward, Zhao Nuonuo was going crazy. She hired people to smash my esteemed bun shop. She cursed at the neighbors, calling me a homewrecker. She even wrote a letter to the school, just like I did back then. But times had changed. In this familiar land, I had the courage to face everything calmly. The neighbors had all watched me and Shen Linchuan grow up, and no one would listen to Zhao Nuonuo's provocations. The school had already dealt with a similar incident once, and implicitly threatened Zhao Nuonuo to shut up. In the end, the almost deranged Zhao Nuonuo even wanted to take me down with her. She set a fire, burning down my shop. Fortunately, little Xing noticed something was wrong in time and protected me as we escaped. I called the police and firmly refused to reconcile. Shen Linchuan skillfully handled the matter. He didn't defend Zhao Nuonuo, ignoring her tears and pleas. He personally sent her to prison. After resolving this trouble, Shen Linchuan apologized to me outside the police station. The setting sun shone on his face, unfathomable. I'm sorry, Jianning. I know an apology means nothing to you. But besides this, I really don't know what else I can do. In the future, if you need any help, just ask. I will do everything in my power to help you, no matter what it is. This is what I owe you. He told me that he had long been unable to tolerate Zhao Nuonuo. But given his current status and various complex reasons, he couldn't divorce Zhao Nuonuo. The higher-ups had also given him a warning, forbidding a repeat of what happened back then. No matter how unwilling he was, he could only grit his teeth and live with Zhao Nuonuo. The future of the two could be foreseen. The sun had set. I wrapped my coat tighter around me and shook my head indifferently. No need. Goodbye as strangers. That was the best ending for us in this lifetime.